Hi everybody, thank you for connecting. I think we are live and I think we are connected. So just to continue a little, to give some free lessons and to give some advice and some tips in relation to vocabulary, in relation to expressions, and hopefully the class will help a little, and that's the objective. So today we continue with the next story. The title of the story is Team Work, and the same as the other days, I will read the story for us to understand, and then we can check the vocabulary and the expressions. So the story is: there was once a man who lived with his three sons. His sons were hard workers, but they constantly fought with each other. Even though the man continuously tried to help his sons make peace with each other, he was never successful. In fact, their fighting got to a point where their neighbors would make fun of them. Eventually, the father became ill. He begged his sons to learn how to work together because of his impending death, but they did not listen. The father then decided to teach his sons a practical lesson to help his sons forget their differences and become a united team. The father called his sons and said, "I'll give you each an equal collection of sticks to break in half. Whoever breaks the sticks the fastest will be rewarded." After agreeing to the task, the father gave each of his sons 10 sticks and instructed them to break each stick in half. This task took the sons mere minutes to complete, but once they were finished, they started to fight about who finished first. The father said, "Dear sons, the task isn't finished. Now I'll give each of you 10 more sticks. However, you must break the sticks in half as a bundle rather than snapping each one separately." His sons agreed and attempted to do what he had asked. They each tried their best, but none could break the bundle in half. They told their father that they had failed. In response, their father said, "See, it was easy to break the sticks in half individually, but you couldn't break all 10 of them at the same time. Similarly, if the three of you stay united as a team, nobody will be able to harm you. However, if you fight all the time, anyone will be able to defeat you. Please come together as a united team." So this lesson helped the man's sons understand the power of being a team and promised their father that moving forward they would work together as a team no matter what the situation was. Okay, so a bit long, definitely longer story compared to the other days, and a bit more difficult to understand for this reason because it's quite long and maybe you need to read the text twice. But basically, the moral of the story, they say, is being an effective member of a team helps contribute to the overall moral and motivation of the team. Strong teams are naturally aligned to work harder, support each other, and be cooperative with working toward a mutual goal. Individuals each have diverse talents, strengths, and weaknesses to contribute to teamwork, so staying focused on the task at hand rather than allowing personal disputes to get in the way will help you achieve your desired results. Strong teams are naturally aligned to work harder, support each other, and be cooperative with working toward a mutual goal. Okay, so now we'll just analyze the vocabulary again. It's a little long, and I hope that you understood the story more or less. For me, I need probably to read it again, but basically, I think the sons were fighting, and the father gave them a challenge or gave them a task and tried to teach them the advantage and the benefit of working in a group or in a team. Okay, so similarly, this story starts the same as the other stories. There was once a man, one time in the past. Again, this is the present. There is, and the past, there was. Okay, existed once a man, relative pronoun again. So the relative pronoun is the substitution for the man. The verb is to live, but it's the past regular who lived. Okay, so it's just past regular, and the subject is the man who. With is the preposition. His is the possession adjective. My son, your son, his son, masculine, her son, feminine, our sons, plural, and in this situation it's three sons. You need to be careful with the pronunciation of the th, three. Phonetically it should be three, but sometimes in Ireland the th is not very strong, and the accent, definitely you will hear some people say tree, but of course that's a different word completely. So this is just a curiosity and specific pronunciation, probably from Ireland. So three maybe phonetically is more appropriate, but sometimes in Ireland we say tree, which is obviously our ball in Espanol. Again, this is the possession, my son, your son, his son. But this is so important because particularly in Spanish you say su hijos. Y no es claro que es un padre o madre. In English, it's his sons for the father and her sons for the mother. The verb to be in the past, they were hard workers. So a worker is a person, plural workers. Hard is they like to work a lot, so they were hard workers. But this is the linker. The verb is, sorry, the pronoun, the subject is they, the sons, again, it's the subject of the sentence. This is the adverb. Remember, ly normally is the adverb, constantly, always, fought. So this is a bit difficult because the verb is to fight and the past is fought. Okay, so the verb is to fight and the past irregular is fought. F-O-U-G-H-T. Okay, so past irregular. And in this situation, it's the preposition with and each other as well, is usually when it's more than two people. There are two structures in English. The first structure is each other, and the second structure is one another. Okay, so I'll just move this down so you can see a little better. And as I said, normally we say one another if maybe it's two people, and if it's more than two people, we'd say one another. Sorry, each other, if it's more than two people. That's the technical, grammatical difference, but in reality, I think it's more flexible and it's not this strict. So you can use the two in lots of situations and there's no big problem. So for example, here it could be with one another and there's no real difference in reality, but technically there was originally a difference, but today no. Even though, again, even is incluso, though is aunque, so incluso aunque in Espanol, even though the man is the subject, continuously, ly is the adverb, again, constantly, continuously. The verb is to try, intentar, and the past is ied. So normally the y in English changes to ied. For example, a fly, una mosca, and then we have three flies in plural, a sky, singular, three skies, and similarly with the verb to try, the third person becomes he tries or she tries as well. So that's important, and this is the past. He tried to help his sons. Make peace is a typical structure as well. Of course, normally there's a difference between do and make. Do is normally the activity and make is more the creation. So if you make peace, you that's a typical structure we use with people. If they make peace, they become friends again. Of course, we have two different words as well, peace and peace. And the first one is la paz in Espanol, and the second one is a bit, a piece of chocolate, a piece of food, a piece of paper. It's a little piece, a little bit, a little part of something. So the pronunciation is very, very similar, but specifically in relation to la paz, it's typical to make peace with somebody. Okay, and again, with each other, as I said, it's possible one another. He is the subject, was is the verb to be in the past, never is probably the adverb, I think, in the negative, never, and the adjective is successful, exitoso in Espanol. Never is like nunca, okay? But again, the same explanation every day. Success is the noun, successful is the adjective, and the verb is to succeed in typically ing. And another example, yesterday I succeeded in making my cake. And the significance is I had success making my cake. I succeeded in making my cake. I had a lot of success and it was positive. In fact, in Spanish, the translation is de hecho. In fact, they're fighting. Again, this is possession. My fighting, you're fighting. The verb is to fight, but the substantivo is fighting. There was a lot of fighting at the football. There was a lot of fighting on the street. So the substantivo or the action is fighting. Got to a point is very, very good. So remember, get is very flexible. It could be obtain, it could be to reach, it could be to arrive, it could be to become. So to get is very important. It could be to obtain, it could be to reach, it could be to become, it could be to arrive as well. And in this situation, to get to a point is the significance to arrive or to reach a point. So the fighting, fighting, fighting arrives to a point where this is the relative pronoun again, who, which, that, their neighbors. So neighbor is a vecino, okay, in Espanol. It's interesting because in the United States, the spelling is different compared to the United Kingdom. So a neighbor in the United Kingdom is considered you are here. In Ireland, it's maybe more flexible, it depends. But in the United States, they say a neighbor, which is more typical in the United States of America. Okay, so there is a small difference, definitely. And it's just a curiosity. You can see my computer is correcting automatically to the other alternative way. So again, neighbor is possession. My neighbor, your neighbor, his neighbor, masculine, etc. Their neighbor is plural. Would make fun. So would is the conditional, and the structure here again, make peace, but also it's possible to make fun of somebody. If you make fun of somebody, you laugh at somebody, you joke about somebody. So to make fun of him, to make fun of her, the significance is to joke or to criticize that person, okay, or to laugh at that person. That's to make fun of somebody. Okay, so obviously not nice and not good. So to make fun of somebody. Also, we can say to make light of something, and that means the opposite of heavy. If something is very heavy, the opposite is light. And if you make light of the situation, the significance is you try to make the situation funnier, to make the situation more interesting, to make the situation less serious. So to make light of something or somebody has the significance that you try to not take seriously somebody or something. Okay, it is also possible to poke fun at someone, and that's the same as to make fun of somebody. Okay, so it got to the point where the neighbors would make fun of them. This is the object pronoun. Remember, the subject pronoun is they plus the verb, and the object pronoun is them. Okay, eventually, so this is a linker and it's the adverb. The father is the subject. The verb is to become. In the past, it's irregular. Become, became, become. Ill is the adjective. It's the same significance as sick. So ill and sick are practically the same. And the substantivo is a little different. For example, an illness or a sickness as well. So there's a small difference between the two. You can say sick as a parrot, and that means that you're very, very sick. You can say sick as, sorry, that's not the verb, it's just the adjective. You are sick, or as sick as a parrot. You can say as sick as a dog. That's very typical as well. And there's lots of possibilities in English with that context. The subject again is he, so this is the subject pronoun. Remember previously it's the object pronoun, and there's two different lists. You have the subject pronouns and the object pronouns. I, you, he, she, we, you, they, me, you, him, her, us, you, them. So there's two different lists, the subject pronoun and the object pronoun. That's very fundamental and very important in English. The subject is father. So sorry, the subject is he, which is the substitution for the father. The verb is to beg, which is very, very important. Okay, so if you beg somebody, you ask very intensely, or you request or you require something very, very importantly. So I beg you. The significance is I want you to forgive me, or I want you to do something for me. I beg you. And this word is very important because in Spanish it's a very important translation, and it's important that you know the family and the significance. So the verb to beg, rogar a, suplicar a. Okay, they say it's maybe formal and not typical. Rogar a alguien, okay, aga algo. Okay, so implorar, I think that's a very good translation because in English we have the verb to implore as well. So to beg somebody is really to implore somebody. And again, it's the past regular. It's a little irregular because you add a G. Okay, so he begged his sons to learn. And again, you need to be very clear the difference between his sons, which are the masculine, the boys, his daughters are the feminine girls, his children are everybody together, the boys and the girls, the children are the sons and the daughters. That's the children. In Spanish, it's different. You say hijos, and the significance is daughters also. But in English, it's the children, which is everybody, and the daughters are feminine and the sons are masculine. Okay? To learn, this word is very simple, but a lot of people forget to use this word, and it's very important, especially with learn or know. I know how to make lasagna. I know how to use my telephone. Or I learned how to cook lasagna. I learned how to fix my computer. Together is juntos. Because of is the linker. His is the possessive adjective, his death. And again, the adjective is dead. So this family of verbs is very important. Dead is the adjective, death is the noun, and the verb is to die. Okay, so that's very, very important adjective. And impending means it's coming soon, it's going to happen very, very soon. But the subject they, the sons, did not, it's the past. This structure is important because after this structure, it's necessary the verb in the infinitive. So, yes, it's the past, but after did or did not, we need the infinitive of the verb. Okay, for example, I did like the movie, and this really is emphasis for did, but it's really in the past. The second alternative is to say I like the movie, and that's almost exactly the same. This structure is for a little more emphasis. In the negative, I didn't like the movie. This is not emphasis. This is just a creation typical of the past in the negative. So the first sentence is more emphasis, but then second sentence it's just more the structure of the creation of the past. Simple. Okay. The father continues, the subject, he, the father, then is probably the adverb related to time after this, then. The verb is decide, and it's regular in the past. Decided to teach, enseñar. You need to be very clear with the difference to teach and to learn. Enseñar y aprender. So in this situation, it's enseñar. His sons. So again, it's the same possession. My son, your son, his son, because he is masculine. Her sons for feminine. A practical lesson. This is the article, indefinite article. Practical is the adjective. For example, it's not practical to travel to Italy at the moment. It's not practical to travel around Europe at the moment. It's not feasible. There's another possibility. It's not practical. Okay, it's not practical. It's not feasible. It's not realistic. It's not wise. So these are possible structures that we have here. So a practical lesson is like a real lesson or a useful lesson to help his sons forget. So after this structure, help, we have the next verb, but it's necessary to remove to. For example, I help you learn this vocabulary. You help me promote this video. So after this structure, help, it's typical to eliminate the normal preposition with the infinitive of the verb. So after help, we normally eliminate the to before the verb. Help you go, help you look, help you find. That's a possibility. It's not an error to include to, but it's more typical to avoid and to remove to. Okay, there are differences. So difference is the substantivo, with the plural is differences, and then to forget there is possession, my difference, your difference, etc. And become, llevar a ser, a united team. Article is a for team is the noun, united is the adjective. Okay, the father again is the subject. He called it regular in the past. It's possible on the telephone, it's possible by the mouth. He called his sons and said, I will give you, so this is the future simple, I will give you each. So when you have individual people, we say each, I give you each, and equal. So this is the article, but it's necessary the indefinite article with the N because the next word begins with the vowel. And the vowels in English are A, E, I nearly caught my eye, A, E, I, O, U. They are the vowels in English. And when the noun begins with a vowel, normally we need the article AN. An equal collection of sticks. A stick is un palo. Okay, a stick is un palo, and it's very important as well, the verb to stick. And we also have a sticker. So very flexible, very important, and very, very interesting as well. To break in half, that means maybe to separate and divide equally, to break the sticks in half. Whoever, so it's possible whoever, whatever, wherever, it does not matter where, wherever, it does not matter who, whoever, it does not matter what, whatever. Very important structures. Whoever, whatever, wherever, whenever. It does not matter when, it does not matter who, it does not matter where, it does not matter why. Okay, the fastest, so fast is the adjective, the comparative is faster than, but the superlative is the fastest. So whoever breaks the sticks the fastest is the subject. Will be, this is the verb to be in the future, but we have the verb to be and the participle of the verb to reward. So this structure must be the passivo because the structure of the passivo is the verb to be plus the participle. So this is an example of the passivo because the verb to reward is very important as well. And we explained before the difference between award and reward. So to reward is typically in the situation to recompensate somebody for their efforts. So if somebody does something very helpful or very good, the other person rewards him. So if you reward somebody, you give something to a person to say thank you, to say well done. But to award is typical in a competition or a prize. You give the best sports person the award, you give the best person the award. That's different for a prize or competition. So it's very, very important. And also we have a reward in the noun and an award as well. Okay, yesterday we had exactly the same with the preposition, and after the preposition it's normally the ing, after eating, after going, after meeting, after agreeing. And remember, the verb to agree is very important because in English it's just the subject and the verb I agree. In Spanish it's estoy, the verb to be, estoy de acuerdo. So in English it's very different, and this error is very frequent as well. And it's typical the preposition agree to contact, agree to meet, agree to have, agree to go, agree to watch. And in this situation, it's agree to the task. The task is similar to the job, the challenge. So if you have a task, the significance is you have a job to do, you have a challenge to do. The father, again, is the subject. The verb is give and the past is gave. Each, when again you have individual people in a group, each of them, each of his sons, 10 sticks plural, and the verb is instructed in the past regular, and the subject is the assumption, it's the father. The father instructed them, this is the object pronoun, instructed me, instructed you, instructed him, masculine, instructed her, feminine, instructed them. To break each stick, again, each and not every, not a big difference, but because you have individual of a bigger group, each of them, okay, in half. This task, this job, this effort took, in relation to time, the lasagna took me 10 or 20 minutes to cook. So in relation to time, time takes you to do something. The verb is to take, the past is irregular, took, and the participle is taken. Mere minutes. So mere is very important. The significance is just only minutes, and it's possible to say, I have merely €2, and the significance is only €2. Okay, I was merely asking the question has the significance I was only asking the question. So I was merely asking the question. The significance is maybe only or just asking the question. Okay, that's very, very important as well. And very fluent English and very important situations. We use this word merely, okay, to complete. But once they were finished, so I think this maybe is the verb to be plus the adjective. That's one possibility. I think it's the subject, they, the verb to be, which is typical with an adjective, or it could be the verb to be plus the participle in the passivo, but I think it's just the adjective in this situation. They started, so the verb is to start and it's regular in the past. They started. After start, they use fight. Okay, now I'm thinking the difference between the infinitive and the gerundio. And in this situation, it's possible the two with no big difference. They started fighting or they started to fight, there's no problem. With the verb to stop, it's different. Stop to fight means you physically stop your movement to fight, or you stop fighting, which means you stop the activity. So there is a difference with the verb stop and the gerundio or the infinitive, but in this situation, start, it's possible the infinitive and it's possible the gerundio also. Again, you fight about or you fight over. Okay, so to fight over something or to fight about something is typical as well. Okay, who, this is the relative pronoun. Who, this is the verb finish in the past, finished first, in first place, in first position. The father said, dear sons, my precious sons. Okay, the task is the subject. Is not is the verb to be. The task is not in the negative, and finished is the adjective. So this is definitely the adjective in this case. The task is not finished. Now, this is related to time. I will give is the future simple. I give in the present. I gave in the past. I will give each of you 10 more sticks. However, sin embargo, you must, subject is you, must is the modal verb, obligation. The pronunciation is interesting because in Ireland, sometimes we say must, so the U is very strong, Dublin, butter, but phonetically it should be must. Okay, so you have the obligation, you have no option, you must break the sticks in half as a bundle, and this situation it's like. Remember yesterday we have a lot of possibilities with as. It could be while, mientras, it could be because, could be like, and in this situation it is like. It could also be, as I said, while. A bundle is very important. So a bundle is like a collection. You can say a bundle of joy. For example, the baby is a bundle of joy, like a ball of joy, like a collection of joy. Also with the internet or the telephone or the electricity, you buy a bundle, which is like a package. So you buy the telephone, the television, the internet, that's a bundle. It's like a collection or a group. Okay, an internet bundle is an internet collection or an internet group. Okay, so that's very important. And again, here it's the article a, the substantiva or the noun is a bundle, like a collection, rather than, the significance is in lugar de, instead of. So rather than has the significance instead of. Also, you can say I would rather, with the significance is I would prefer. That is important. And then the third possibility is rather plus the adjective. For example, rather tired, rather hungry. It's bastante in Espanol. Okay, snapping is very, very good. The verb to snap is very similar to break. So if you have the pencil and you snap the pencil, you break the pencil. But it is possible to say that the person is snapping and the significance is furious, very, very angry. Okay, so the person is snapping and the significance is very angry or furious. Okay, to take a snap is typical for the photographer, the paparazzi, they take a snap. Okay, so snap is also possible a picture. Okay, lots of possible expressions. You can say snap out of it, which means to wake up or to get real, to become realistic, to get real, to wake up. That's important as well. Okay, so it's a very important word. Snap each one, each stick, like break each stick separately. His sons, again, this is the subject and it's the possession, my son, your son, except it's masculine, it's the son, possession of the father, plural. Again, agreed, you know, not necessarily the verb to be, it's just agreed is the past. And attempted, the significance is intentar, to try, to do what? That's the linker as well. He had asked. So the subject is he. Had asked is an example of the past perfect, because to create the past perfect we have the auxiliary have plus the article, or sorry, the participle. They is the subject. Each is individual. They each tried their best, but none or no one or nobody could break the bundle in half. They told their father they had failed. So that's the past perfect again. And normally we have the past perfect before another action in the past simple. Okay, so finally, in response, that's a good linker, a good structure. The verb is to respond. Okay, the verb is to respond, and the substantivo is a response. So it's typical in response. Their father said, look, see, the situation, the verb to be in the past was easy to break the sticks in half individually, adverb, but you could not break. So could not, I think in this situation is related to the modal verb can for ability, but it's the past. You could not, it was impossible. You didn't have the ability to break all 10 of them. At is related to time, at 6 o'clock, at 8 o'clock, at the same time. Similarly, again, it's an adverb. So this is the conditional. If the three of you stay, remain as a team, remain united as like a team, nobody, no one, no difference, nobody, no one will be able, this is the future simple, to harm you. So the verb to harm, the significance is como dañar, to harm, to damage, to hurt. These are all the typical vocabulary in relation to harm. And we also say in English, it's very typical, no harm, which means no problem. So for example, today it is raining, but this is no harm, it's no damage because it has not rained in maybe 2 weeks. So people need the rain, so it's no harm. Okay, however is sin embargo, if is the conditional, you is the subject, fight is the verb, all the time maybe is the adverb, anyone, anybody will be able, so this is the future simple as well, will be able to defeat you. So this family of words is very important as well. We say the verb to win, we say the verb to defeat, we say the verb to beat, we say the verb to lose. So there's lots of very important differences. So the verb to win is ganar, defeat is derrotar, I think. To beat is vencer, and to lose is perder. So it's very, very important family of words, and there are differences between them, especially to beat. For example, Real Madrid beat Valencia 2-1. Atletico Madrid beat Real Madrid 3-2. So very important, this section of verbs. Please, it's an order, it's an instruction. Come together or join, like, as. A is the article, a team is the noun, a united team. Okay, this lesson is the subject. The verb is help and it's past regular. So this verb help, again, it's possession, the man's son. So it's singular man and it's possession, the sons. Understand, it helped them understand, not to understand, because after help we normally have the verb without to. The power of being a team and promised. So again, this is the verb and the subject is the man's sons. It helped the man's sons and promised their father that moving forward, so this is necessary because you have a new subject, they would work together as a team no matter what the situation was. Good. That's quite long and very interesting, but you can see some of the vocabulary here. I hope that helps. I hope you can benefit from the vocabulary and from the expressions. Thank you for paying attention and for watching the little story. I think we might continue with this page. It's a possibility. Or soon we might do some vocabulary and some exercises, maybe from the Cambridge exams, might be another possibility as well. So obviously working from home is tricky for everybody in the pandemic, and hopefully we have no big disruptions, and hopefully we can continue little by little. But of course it's difficult, and sometimes we might not be able to do the routine, but that's the plan, to continue like this. And I hope that you enjoy your weekend. I hope you enjoy your Friday. And of course on Facebook you can leave a message, you can leave a note. And yeah, thank you so much. We also have classes that we try to continue. You can see on Facebook the posted pinned topic. You can see the schedule for this week and the plan, and you're welcome to join any of the classes that you want. This class is free. I'm happy to try and teach for free. Some people want to leave a little tip, and that's fine. You are welcome to leave a little tip if you want. The information is here with Bizoom. You just need the telephone number. Revolut is possible as well with a telephone number, or direct bank transfer. That's another possibility. So you're welcome to leave a small tip if you want. Some people do. And thank you so much. So have a very good day. Thank you for watching, and enjoy your Friday, end of the week. And I hope that you have a very good weekend, and hopefully talk to you very, very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.